how do I feel? I mean, as you know, Sicilian, yeah, yeah, it's one of my favorite openings. So both white and black, I like it a lot. So I feel very comfortable in it.
Cool. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, I see that you like going for attacks. You feel comfortable attacking?
Actually, not really. I don't think I'm a great attacker. Um, I, but I don't know. It's just I've just played the Sicilian so much that I feel really comfortable with it. Um, but generally, no. I I don't think I'm that great of an attacker.
Well, yeah, and in some games, I noticed in many Sicilians, you get the upper hand in the opening.
Mm.
Uh, I mean, you accumulate a big advantage
Yeah,
very early on.
yeah,
I mean, if I take your games against the Sicilian in the 15 moves and make some statistics,
mm.
I bet you have a clear advantage in average at that point.
Mm.
Um, and then it tends to slip away when you have to play with the initiative, which is an interesting thing to think about. um, yeah, maybe it's a bit of tactics failing there, but there are also positional considerations. I put two games here, which I think that have something common between them. Not going to say what just yet. Well, let's go through the first one.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm in the right window now. Okay,
Okay, yeah,
Belonos.
just what? Balance,
Yeah,
yeah. Um, well, it was um,
Sveshnikov. Yeah.
yeah, it was a very positional variation. I mean, this is not what you're expecting to be, let's say, um, violent.
Yeah,
um,
this is one of I really enjoy the Sveshnikov. I really enjoy the positions out of it. The main, like some of the main lines I know quite deep, like 25, 26 moves. Even yeah, even some of the sidelines. I think in this game I think I already remember because a lot of the games where it's a theoretical opening because I just love theory. I love studying theory. I do it all. I really enjoy it. So I think I remembered that. So I'm trying to remember. I wonder if he played. Well, once you show it, I will remember. He played something a little bit unusual. I forget if it was like, it might have been
yeah, some,
G6. It might have
yeah,
yeah,
it's
G6,
oh,
and then
that's a great memory.
yeah, well, yeah, because and then I should have played A4, which when I was analyzing the game afterwards, I'm like, oh yeah, of course A4, because that's such a thematic pawn break in the Sveshnikov, and
Yeah,
it was so obvious afterwards. And okay, sorry, go ahead, but yeah, I remember the game.
yeah, that's quite impressive that you remember exactly where
Yeah,
your opponent
yeah.
just
Deviated.
deviated
Yeah,
from official theory.
yeah.
93 b5. Well, this goes without saying.
Mm-hmm.
This is all heavily theoretical. C3 to get your knight back to the game. Castles in C2. And here he plays this unusual move. I think it's, I mean, if it's not entirely bad because it's not a tragedy for black, at least we can say it makes no sense. uh, be- because you can play a4 as you say, and g6 adds nothing to black's play. I mean, black should be playing to, well, contest d5. That's why they usually play bishop to g5, I think. Then at some point, 97 is black's idea, if realizable. um, but g6 adds nothing to black's concept here. As you say, you could play a4. Um, I don't know, maybe you get some positions similar to
Yeah,
what
it will
might have
actually.
been.
Yeah, a lot of these will get extremely similar positions. That's partly why um, it's kind of nice to know the theory here because positions are always so similar, so you can come up with a lot of similar ideas.
Yeah, this g6 is well, it's not the main move with the same position and the pawn on
Yeah,
g7
it
because
was
it
very
will.
unusual. I remember when he played it,
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I'm like, you can't do that. Like, I've never seen that before. But then he actually kind of got away with it. And I remember running this with the engine, you know, super deep, like depth 49 with Stockfish 14. And the computer actually, it doesn't, it's not that bad. It's not the worst move, G6. But yeah, A4 was definitely the best response to it. I think after
Yeah.
here, there might possibly have been ideas of still, I forget if it was here or not, but there might have still been ideas of H4, which is another
H4.
thematic move in the Sveshnikov. I forget if it was here or not, but there was kind of an interesting trap because normally you can't do this H4 move because there's not a pawn on G6, you know, the threat being Queen H5. So here I'm like, oh, H4 won't work. But I think in this game there was still an opportunity to do it, and just to have that open H file. So we're not even planning Queen H5, but just to have that open H file, I think that was an option at some point in this game.
Yeah, taking the pawn always looks dangerous. It's hard to do. Uh, I don't know if you can do it right now, really, but yeah, G6 is also giving you that added opportunity, which I mean, if you get to play H5 at some point, uh, that might be it for Brack. Um, yeah, you play knight takes f6 instead. Um, I don't know if it solves all of Black's problems, but it, it's a bit of a relief. It's You're still a bit better, I think. I mean, Black's prospects are.
I'll tell you my thought process if you're curious.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so normally, I mean, yes, we love the knight on d5 in the Sveshnikov. I know this, right? And usually we don't want to give up that knight for anything. um, but here I thought because he fianchettoed with g6, well, not fianchettoed, but, you know, because he played g6, I thought I don't want him to have that defender. If I trade, that's one less defender there. And suddenly, you know, he basically just has a queen defending. And I thought this kind of weakens his dark squares. And I thought, you know, this knight can still repopulate d5. And that was my logic behind the move.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, you were paying attention to the pieces that are left instead of the ones that leave the board, which is always good. Um, though, yeah, so little material now that maybe d5 is not that relevant as it was. That's another issue. Um, but still, I mean, the plan is reasonable. It's reasonable enough. I mean, if you look at Black's position now, there's no pair of bishops, even though this bishop isn't great. If it goes to g5, it's a decent bishop. And now that it's just not there, I mean, you can easily put pressure on d5, and at the very least, you have a decent game. And it's less complicated than a4 for sure, though a4 should be stronger, but this is a decent choice. I don't see it as being terrible or anything. Um, Rook d8, well, yeah, it's okay. I mean, I don't know, bishop b7 is like a move you have to make. So I'm not really sure about rook d8, but it's not the end of the world. Knight e5, queen h4, queen f3. Well, very logical up to this point. I don't see, um, yeah, I don't see any serious flaws. Yeah, maybe you could have played a bit better here and there, but up to this point, it's quite okay. And he plays f5 here. Did this surprise you somewhat?
No. This is very,
You were expecting
yeah, it's the whole, yeah, it's Black's plan in the Sveshnikov. That's basically Black's weapon in the Sveshnikov. So, I mean, I was always waiting for f5 the whole time. Um, if I remember correctly, I think the computer, I think Stockfish wanted me to take. Um, but I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember entirely. But no, it did not surprise me. I was waiting for it.
Yeah, it's a move you'd expect, but um, there is no dark square bishop, so black has to be really careful here. With a dark square bishop, it's not as terrible. But here black might black might be hard pressed to get something going. Otherwise, this king is just quite open. And without dark square bishop, this could be a problem. You took immediately, which is certainly the move. And he plays e4. Maybe he was a bit scared of some knight jumps. I don't know what's the issue here. If g takes, for example, is that possible? Hmm.
It's possible. I mean, but I don't know. It's kind of nice to have the open H file. You know, queen g3, queen takes, H takes, um, and possibly I mean, I guess the threat would be e5 or e4. I mean.
That would be quite similar to the game. In fact, it would be almost a transposition, though your opponent played bishop takes f5 now. G takes, there's also this to consider. Knight b6 right now, hitting the rook and the knight.
Yeah.
That seems to be awkward for
Wait.
black.
Oh yeah. Okay. It you're Okay. Yeah.
There's still e4, which seems to be the only move. And then, well, something similar to the game can happen. I mean, we can see what happened in the game. It was e4, which is a very committal move for black. I mean, more dark squares, weakened under your control now. I mean, it makes some sense because he also wants to sort of activate his pieces with 95 at some point, but the dark squares are getting really weak, and this king isn't feeling any better. Here, do you remember what you played here?
No.
And what would you play?
Yeah, because that's probably what I played. Yeah. I mean, I probably played Queen G3.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, because Queen F4. Now my knight is not as good as it was, and we don't have an open H file. Queen G3 makes sense to me. Like,
yeah, that's what you played.
Yeah.
Though it's actually a mistake, I think. I mean, where lies your advantage here, if any? I mean, you have the advantage, definitely have the advantage, but why is that? Why do you think you're better in this position?
Well, I really like my knight. I think my centralized knight is incredible, and Black's king is very exposed. I think they're the two major things that I have. Not that my king is much safer, but it's safer than Black's.
Yeah, much safer. Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal maybe, but yeah, those two can't be compared really. His king is really open now. So with queen g3, um, well, you're relieving black in one of those departments. After queen g3, his king is not a problem anymore. That's your main concern. To exchange queens here.
I know I didn't want to trade queens. I didn't want to trade queens, but I didn't know what else to do. Like I thought I had to trade queens, otherwise, I felt there's going to be way too much pressure on me.
Well, I mean, if that's the assessment, I mean, okay, I'll be much better without trading queens if I can get away with it. We have to see if we can make it work. I mean, if we absolutely can't, well, we have the cop out with queen g3, for example. But you have to try and realize your strategic ideal, so to speak. Of course, if it fails tactically, then we switch to well, something more grounded, more possible. Um, but what about queen e3, for example?
I just got scared visually of the e file, like his rook, rook e8. I'm like, no, I, yeah. I mean, I didn't really. It was just a visual thing. I didn't logically calculate anything. It's just like nope. It's just scary.
Yeah, but this king now has some questions.
Okay, well, like bishop f5.
Bishop takes.
Yeah.
Well, this is a great result for you because I mean, if he takes with a pawn, yeah, the king is even further exposed. And if he takes with a bishop, his pawns are a disaster. I mean, you have full control of the d file. Yeah, I don't know. This is his only plan, mainly. Now I'm thinking.
Sorry, I'm just laughing because I think like we have very different perspectives about this position. Like for me, this looks kind of scary for white. So it's funny that you're on the total opposite end of the spectrum and you're like, no way, this is so good for white. I just feel really exposed. The king in the center. I'm just scared. I don't know. It just looks scary to me.
In fact, there's a tactical issue for black other than his really open king. It's why to play and win here, if I'm correct.
So if g3, queen h5, bishop e2, there's bishop g4, but then there's a fork. There's a fork on f6. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
knight f6. Okay. g3, and he loses the queen to knight f6 wherever he goes. Yeah, there is a tactical problem with e4. After queen e3, yeah, I think you can't take. Well, yeah, you can't take with the g pawn because g3 is just the same. So yeah, it's a tactical thing that doesn't allow black to play like this.
If we just go back, sorry, where was it? So I played. Okay, so in this move, I have a chess book here. There was a chapter. I didn't finish reading the book. I'm only like a quarter done or so. There was a chapter in here, something where it's called like psychological meanderings, and there is a section where he talks about I can't. So I can't, and it's something to do like if you really like if there's a move or an idea you want to do, like in this case, I don't want to trade queens, but I thought that I can't go anywhere else because it just looks dangerous. And he wrote kind of like that you should really try to find, and it might have been I think there were other authors that wrote about this type of idea too. But I think if there's an idea or a move that you really want to do, you should really try to make it work. Like try everything you can to make it work. And here I got a little lazy. I just thought I couldn't.
If it's positionally desirable, then yeah, you have to try to make it work. I mean, if it doesn't, yeah, you have to settle and just try to do your best as the position lets you. But if there is any chance of making your own ideas work, then yeah, it's worth the effort to try and find it. Because even if there isn't this tactic here, which, well, there clearly is, even if there isn't G3, you are better. You have the real attacking prospects that can open the G file with some breaks with G4, for example, and H3 even. This king is so open. This king is just going to castle. And Black's lack of control of dark squares is just terrible. This king is feeling pretty lonely now.
Can you show me some ideas then? Because I wasn't really scared of G takes. I was more scared of like bishop F5.
Bishop
and here
let's suppose there's no G3 for a second. Let's turn line die to G3. We play bishop E2. Well, we have to think about something for black too.
What about knight coming in right away?
Knight E5.
Yeah.
Let's say we castle queenside. Yeah. I'm thinking about H3 and G4 already because the pawn E4 is also a weakness. There's also this idea with H4, H5. I don't see how black is going to break on the queen side with this giant knight on D5 controlling everything.
Rook C8,
it's like
maybe?
Rook C8. Yeah, there's still problems with this after
no,
G3.
well,
but
the other. Oh yeah, I guess okay.
We are ignoring G3 for time being.
Yeah.
But even here, I mean, G3 and H4, if there is no fork, which there still is. But yeah, I can also think about H3 to play G4, and E4 seems to be doomed. And the exchange of knight doesn't really bother you, I think, because you're going to have this huge knight against this bishop that is still blocked. I mean, in any case, that bishop is blocked. Black's pawn structure is way inferior to white's. I think that's the main issue for black. And his pieces are a bit clumsy, even though these two look active, so to speak. The pawn structure is so bad that the weakness is hard to tell. And even though you don't get to the king like in 2 or 3 moves, it's just always there. It's impossible to bring this king to safety. I think that's the most important thing to notice. Because once you play king b1 and even king a1, this king is somewhat safe. The queen is so off the queen side that I don't see a way black is going to attack here. And this king has nowhere to hide. I mean, it's just permanently weak. It's just outdoors. That king is not getting to anywhere safe. And you have...
Sorry, my dog. He wants in.
Oh, what happened to him?
Oh, he like licking himself,
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Sorry.
No, yeah. You have all the breaks. I mean, H4, H5, and I don't know what black is going to do with that king, honestly.
So if you were playing a bullet game, let's say you're playing 1+1 or 2+1, and you're in this position here, where I played queen g3. Did that not even cross your mind? Is that just like totally off the, off the table?
I mean, when I saw it, I said,
Whoops,
"Oh,
sorry.
why it's changed queens
Oh,
here?"
okay.
uh,
It's just
but
completely like it's just like completely. Yeah, you feel wrong about it immediately, right?
yeah,
Okay.
but bullet is bullet. I mean, if I see some tactic that is annoying me, well,
Oh
yeah, I
yeah.
might just hit change. But yeah, there are not really that many tactics here.
I just
Um,
meant like your instinct is like, no, we don't want to trade queens. Like it's very
yeah,
okay. Yeah.
yeah. If I can choose, I'll definitely not. um, yeah, I mean, it has to do with the permanent character of the weakness of this king. It's just so annoying for black. It's going to limit
Okay. I
black for the rest of it.
I have another question for you then. Let's
Yeah.
say in that position, let's say we're not allowed to go queen e3. Do we still want to avoid trading queens like queen e2 or queen e1 or queen d1?
Queen d1 looks clumsy enough that I wouldn't even think about this. I mean, it's just undeveloping. I don't know how it works. That one would set an alarm firing.
Oh, because
That's for
I
sure.
guess you're nervous about e3 or something.
Well, there's still knight takes.
Just
But I'll, yeah.
it just because to
About
me it
queen,
doesn't look that much different than queen e3.
yeah, the only thing is after pawn takes, I mean, there's still g3 here. That's why queen d1, even queen d1 seems to work quite well. Uh, but if I don't have g3, then I would be a bit worried about black playing f4 in any case. I mean, I can't. Uh, I would still like to keep the blockade because if he plays f4, I would feel threatened.
Mm,
um, but yeah, we have
okay.
g3 in any case, so tactics make all our other points invalid
So
somewhat.
well, what about queen e2?
Queen
Because
e2,
queen e2 stops f4.
pawn takes. Yeah, probably.
I'm just wondering if you would prefer queen e2 over queen g3.
Um,
I'm just trying to find out how strong you really don't want to trade queens.
maybe here I'll have to calculate what happens after 95, like right now. And that's that's something that just needs to be calculated. Um, of course, in this case, even then, G3 is annoying. There's a big problem that G3 works so well here that
Mm, yeah.
that it's hard to answer the
Okay.
question.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, but if I have to castle right now, I mean 95, I have to castle, let's say,
I guess
uh,
queen e2 is
93
a
check, and
little is also. I mean, we're blocking that bishop, so it takes out a lot of possibilities that queen e3 enabled.
yeah, I mean Queen E2 looks. I mean, if if trading queens seems questionable from a positional perspective, Queen E2 also has
Yeah.
to be frowned upon a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, you have a nice dark square that keeps control of f4, d4. Uh, the queen keeps. Well, it actually looks at both wings. Um, so yeah, it looked quite strong. You're still better here, I think, because of the blockade on dark squares. Your pawn structure is just better. I mean, the lack of control over all these squares for black is a problem, especially
Yeah.
since he has nice square vision.
Yeah. I felt better. I thought these pawns were a little silly, and I still like my knight is still awesome. So and we have the open H file, and we can castle. Like I felt pretty good.
Yeah. He took with the bishop. Um, I mean, I don't know if there is a good answer for black here, but I guess g takes f5 has to be played. You have to keep the pawns together somehow. Um, yeah, knight f6, king here, nothing much happens. You can't take because of king g6, I guess. and the knight is trapped. Yeah, this looks much more normal. After bishop takes, even this pawn is disconnected from the rest. Yeah, it's hard to handle now. You castle queenside, king g7, bishop e2. This seems quite logical. I mean, I don't know if they are the absolute best moves, but rook here. Well, you improved all your pieces. You need a plan. Now you do need a plan. The thing is your natural idea to make progress here.
I'm trying to remember what I played. I wonder if I like g4, g5, and then maybe put pressure on the h file. That I wonder if I played g4 because that seems very reasonable to me. G4, g5.
Yeah, you played g4.
Okay. It's funny how you come to the same ideas, right? Even if you forget. Okay, yeah, because to me it looks very reasonable.
It makes sense. I mean, you're trying to fit his pawns on light squares. Though you're exposing your pawns a little bit too. That's the only thing I'm worried about. I mean, you have all the dark square control you can handle at this point, I guess. And it would be nice to extend it. But after g4, bishop c6, yeah, c6 the knight. It's not the end of the world. The f file is open a bit, so he can try to put pressure on f2. And it looks quite okay. I don't think there's a real problem with it. But I guess there are easier approaches. There is one glaring weakness in Black's position. I mean, there's more than one, but there is one that stands out.
Yeah, well, these two pawns, right, on d5 and e5, or d6 and e4, are quite weak. I didn't really,
Yeah.
I didn't really think of a way to, how I could, gang up on them, though. I didn't see a plan.
Well, the e4 pawn is hard to get to. I mean, it's really hard to attack.
I mean, other than
are kind of
g4 is the only indirect way.
Yeah, but it also exposes your own g pawn, and after bishop it's.
I wonder if I could play rook h4 with a double threat of rook d h1 and g4. Oh, no. Yeah, no. Well, sorry, but g4 blocks that rook. But yeah.
You'll have to play g5 after that.
Yeah. Well, but that's almost good because g5 we have knight f6.
Yeah, g4, g5, knight f6 is definitely. Yeah, rook h4 looks very interesting to me.
I really like knight f6. I mean,
yeah, if you can put the pawn on g5 and knight on f6, then that's going to be tough.
Yeah, what would he do? Yeah, rook h4.
Seems like an improvement. You don't touch your pawns for time being, which is always nice.
h5 though.
h5 might be the move to play there.
Yeah.
Though you have 93, for example, and everything seems to be hanging by a thread. I mean, if he moves the bishop, the e4 pawn falls. If he doesn't, you take the bishop, and the h5 pawn is hanging too. So um,
I wonder if we could. It's probably too much. But almost bishop takes h5.
rook h4, h5, bishop takes.
Yeah.
It looks like it's too much. That has to be really well justified. I mean, pawn takes, and then
Yeah. Oh wait, does he have a fork on g4?
yeah, if you oh no, rook g5 check. You have a check on g5.
Yeah, but then king h6.
And rook takes g4.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to play bishop g4.
But
He
it
can just go
yeah.
bishop g6, for example.
Bishop g6. Okay, let me think. So rook h4, h5, bishop h5, gh, rook takes h5, and then you're saying bishop g6.
Yeah, looks.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That fizzles out.
Yeah, but yeah, if you don't sacrifice, things are looking quite good for you after 93, I guess. Um,
You mean
I mean
rook h4, h5, 93?
93 looks interesting. I mean, you're threatening to take the bishop and to take the pawn on h5. The only thing I wonder about is bishop e6 because it hits h2. And he's also threatening to play d5 himself. So I'm not sure about that. I mean, rook takes e4, bishop takes a2.
Wait.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a little annoying.
Yeah, it looks like you should be better somehow, but not that much better.
So you're saying you're not saying 93 right away. You're saying rook h4, h5, 93?
Yeah, and then there's
bishop
this
e6.
e6. That is, yeah, it's really annoying. Yeah, because we don't have the time to play, I don't know, king b1 because of d5, and then now his pawns aren't weak anymore. He's going to go 95. His pieces are good.
King b1?
Yeah. After bishop e6, king b1, like that.
Mm-hmm.
D5 probably. I guess he has to go d5.
G5. G4, I mean, sorry.
G4.
Then maybe he plays D. Could he play D5? Maybe D5.
D5. I mean, after king b1, d5, and then g4.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, sorry, I meant D4.
D4. Yeah, D4 looks like the critical move there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's looking scary. The D and the E pawns there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess.
And I don't think I can calculate past D4. That's getting a bit far for me.
Yeah, it's far for everyone, I guess. At this point, it's because it gets really sharp.
Yeah.
Real soon. But yeah, it's an approach. I mean, rook h4 looks interesting. Even after h5, 93 is also not mandatory. You can just play, I don't know, a3, for example, like a prophylactic move before playing 93.
Or king b1.
King b1, there's e3 with check. That's the only annoying thing here.
Right.
But yeah, you can take some measures before you go 93. I like a3. It looks interesting. There's no a5 because of bishop takes b5, so that's not a problem.
A3,
Um,
I'm worried maybe in some cases about bishop e6 to b3.
Bishop e6, but the knight is on d5 still, so
I know,
rook
but
takes c4.
uh,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just figure eventually like 97 or something. Like black plays 97 at some point.
Knight e7.
Yeah. I'm just worried. Yeah, I'm just worried about the weak light squares. If we play a3, I'm just worried
The
about
weak
this.
light square.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe some knight a5. Trying
Yeah,
to
annoying.
immediately. But I'm not that scared about that. I mean, after rook h4, h5, a3, knight a5, there's knight e3. So as long as we can keep this bishop blocked, I guess we are fine. I mean, against knight b3, now we can just play king b1, and there's no way to push the pawn forward. Yeah, there is some counterplay, I guess. But in general, it seems like white should be doing better in any case. There is also this simple plan to put pressure on, well, on the pawn that is easiest to put pressure on, which is rook d2. That's an alternative plan. Yeah, we're kind of abandoning the idea of putting pressure on h7, which is apparently harder to realize because you have to really go out of your way to put pressure on h7. I mean, doubling rooks on the h file, it might be stopped with, I don't know, rook h8.
I'm trying to remember what was wrong with just g4 g5 though, and we don't have to play on the h file. What was the problem with that?
I don't know. I don't think there is anything wrong in particular. The only problem is that you're pushing his bishop to a better place. You don't get immediate pressure against e4, and you're also exposing your pawns a bit more. So he got to realize an idea of taking, playing 97, putting the pawn on d5, and he kind of glued his structure together again. He got to defend his pawns to unify his structure because the pawns were suddenly defended. That's why I like the idea of applying extra pressure on the d file. I mean, black's dream is to kick this knight out of here or to just take the knight and play d5. If he can get away with that, then yeah, he most certainly has some counterplay. I don't see how he's going to achieve that with the two rooks on the d file. Yeah, this looks a bit scary, but I don't see a way of actually breaking through because if, for example, b6, there's always bishop takes. Or at least it seems so.
Okay, just rook a1, rook a8.
Rook a8, bishop b7, rook takes a2, and you have king b1, I think.
Yeah, but then rook b7, rook a7.
Okay.
I mean,
bishop takes.
Oh, sorry, I meant. Oh, I see. So we can't go to a6. Okay.
It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. On c4, on b4 you also have c4 if the other move is just too messy.
Wait.
That should work.
Rook a7 is check though.
Rook a7. Well, I'm sorry. It's b4. Bishop takes.
Oh wait, no, wait. Sorry. I guess he just takes. Never mind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, if there is some real counterplay connected to this, it seems like there isn't. The idea to double the rooks is very annoying because this pawn after some 93s, yeah, it seems like it's just going to fall somehow. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the other reason I played G4. I just did not like being restricted here. It was so uncomfortable.
um,
I wanted to go to B1 as soon as possible. Yeah, because just like I was scared of this happening, and that's why I wanted to go to B1. So I wanted to kick that bishop out.
yeah, I mean, it makes sense. This move is something to watch for. Though it really looks that at this point it shouldn't do that much. Sorry, I'm just calculating this line. After bishop b7, rook takes a2. King to b1. Rook back to a7 maybe. And if bishop takes e3 with check. Yeah, that's bad because rook here b3. Oh my god. Yeah, I think along these lines. And it's far from being forced. There's also bishop here to consider. But yeah, to be honest, this looks like it's just about to fail for white. Because if king b1, I mean, if b3, we still have 93. We still have this barely. But rook a7 is really annoying.
What about sorry, so you're saying b3 we have what?
93.
Yeah, and then he's got this maybe.
Yeah, it might well be that we're just losing. Yeah, here we can't hold the bishop. We can't even take. Yeah, it looks like we're just giving checkmate to ourselves. Yeah, rook d7. It's funny the rook on d2 is so much of a problem now. We can't even go like this. Yeah, no, it's just too much. So before is something to consider, because if we can't take on a6, then what? Maybe g4.
C4.
But bishop e6 is.
What c4?
C4. C4 was the other idea, which looks nice. I mean, if you can consolidate here and play this. It's looking highly unlikely that this is coming in the future.
What, 95?
95, b3 has to be.
And we got lots of breathing room now. I like it.
Yeah, now you can play the king to b2. This would be a relief.
Yeah. And this knight is just even stronger than it was.
Yeah. I mean, now you're going to complete your idea. You're going to play rook a1, king b2, and then he has to answer for this, maybe for this one too. 93.
Possibly 97.
Yeah, there might be tactics here. Oh, the pawn on b4 is hanging there.
Yeah, so this is very pleasant for white. I'll take white.
Yeah, once you consolidate, there's no. I mean, these pawns are just too bad. Yeah. Especially this one is looking like. Yeah.
And this bishop's sole purpose in life just to defend e4.
Yeah, if it doesn't get any tactical shot with e3 or something, then it just becomes a problem.
Yeah.
In fact, it can become a target. So yeah, rook d2 seems quite okay if we take into account that there's no b4 because of c4, and if there isn't that, this is just true. And if too effective a plan. I mean, I don't see how to easily defend the pawn. Well, you can't even do this. Like, seats. If you want to get the king 3 6 G4, it's really clumsy. I mean, if you come to it changes knight, then white is really happy. I mean,
Yeah.
you're just going to block everything. This bishop is, yeah, it's just too bad against knight on e3 and rook ab1. This pawn is going to suffer. Yeah, any endgames with such great dark square control are going to be pleasant for white. So g4 isn't that bad. The only problem is that now black sort of has this plan.
Yeah, I told him where to go. I told him what to do. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
helped him
need
out.
that guy back on his seats to fight for d5. um,
Did you
yeah, now it's
did you notice my opponent's clock here?
20. So yeah, he didn't even
Amazing, right?
spend.
Spent
Yeah,
2 minutes and 39 seconds. Or yeah.
he got into a bit of trouble because of that. And now I don't know, maybe a3, but bishop takes, and yeah, he gets to build that.
Yeah, the knight d7, knight e7, d5.
Still, it should be pleasant for you. I mean, well, g5 is too tempting move not to play. He takes. Not sure it's entirely necessary, but it looks consistent. You played bishop g4 here. It has to be played, I guess. Rook to c4.
I think that was a mistake.
Rook c4.
Yeah. I'm just trying to like. I just vaguely remembered that the computer didn't like that, but I might be wrong.
Maybe rook c6 followed by rook c d6. Trying to keep everything together somehow. Seems like he has enough defensive resources to keep the d5 pawn. I mean, it's not that it's entirely comfortable, but I don't see an easy way to add extra pressure there. Rook c4. What's the problem with it?
I might be wrong. But I seem to recall the computer didn't love it. It wasn't like a blunder, but it wasn't the best way forward, if I remember right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not doing any favors to his structure, that's for sure.
Maybe just rook d1, bishop e6. Maybe.
Yeah, that might happen. Even though he has enough defensive resources for this pawn, it really makes the structure a bit worse, I guess. There are no breaks here.
Yeah, maybe like f3 or b3.
F3, probably for weaknesses there. Pawn takes.
Yeah, bishop takes. Or pawn takes.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, if bishop takes knight here on d4 is coming anyway. I don't know if.
Or maybe rook d1 then f3 possibly.
Yeah, you play rook d1, which makes so much sense that that it has to be the move. Rook f8. Now this is playing with fire a bit for both. Because there is this move, which I'm not really sure about how it works. You played it. You went for the kill. um, the other idea is just
Yeah.
aim two, of course. It looks all right. Though a bit harmless. I don't know how this endgame results, but his rook seems to get a lot of activity with. I mean, yours too, but this is looking scary. Your king is completely cut here. There is this pass pound, though his pawns are a bit scattered all over the place. Took, check, king g8. Oh, king to e7. Oh, you end up losing a couple of pawns. Oh, he has these two. Oh, that was an unfortunate turn of events. Yeah, you're losing this endgame. c4. Well, here you lose another pawn, but yeah. Well, I don't know what happened here. But at this point, you're losing this endgame probably. It's just a matter of pushing these two. Yeah, you blundered somewhere around here. I mean, this bishop b6 was probably not necessary. You can just play f3 and it's probably balanced somehow. I'm not sure. It's complex. It's anybody's game at this point. It was very interesting throughout. I mean, your opponent had many weaknesses during the game, and this king was especially unsafe until the queens were traded off. Let's switch to the other study. I wanted to compare this to this classical game by Karpov. Just let me go to the position where, well, to the relevant position. It wasn't an Alekhine defense. Very bad choice against Karpov, for sure. Well, Karpov was playing white.
I like white.
Yeah. What do you like about white's position?
Oh, come on! Look at all this. Look at this going on. This is like a French gone gone well. I mean, yeah. Often I mean, you can get these types of positions in a lot of different openings, but I often think of kind of like a French. Yeah. I just love all of these open attacking squares. We got rook lifts coming in. I just like these possibilities.
Yeah, with the rook on c3, bishop takes would be probably winning right now. But yeah, white doesn't have that many pieces on the king side to think about a winning attack right away, probably. But he has a definite positional advantage. What do you think about black's pieces, especially the minor pieces?
Well, I mean, yeah, we have the superhero pawn here. I don't know if there's breaks that will undermine this. Probably not. Well, possibly, but I mean, e6 will get a bit weak, but potentially he could push those. So maybe there's some breaks here, but otherwise this pawn is just. I mean, the control of the square is awesome. We can actually just go knight d4 right away if we want. I don't know if we want to put it there because it's not really controlling anything, but nice to know that we can blockade if we need to. And yeah, this knight has nowhere to go, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. He can't even go here unless because there's not really anywhere for him to go. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, Karpov got a really good position here.
Yeah, and the last point you mentioned is huge. This knight is so bad. It just ruins things for black. I mean, if he's somewhat worse, this knight makes him a lot worse. I mean, this is his biggest problem in the game because, as you said, there are no even perspectives of making this knight look better than it is right now. And that's a huge problem because, yeah, if you have a piece that is somewhat badly placed, you can think about switching it to a better position. Here it takes a lot of time, and you don't even get it to these half-decent squares. Uh, there's no way of making the knight better. So Karpov noticed that Black wants to play a5. He wants to play a5, hit b4 so that he can undo this pawn structure, and then yeah, he will be able to um, free this knight somehow. For example, a5, and if b5, which kind of makes sense, a4, and he has c5 for the knight. I mean, knight d4, for example, knight c5. That'll be a different story now. Karpov noticed that this queen is kind of holding everything together for black on the queen side, and it's the one allowing for the counterplay. So he came up with this impressive move. I mean, it's just a great move. The idea is to play queen d4, and it kind of ruins all of these ideas for black. If a5, I think you can play b5 right away, and there's no a4 because of queen takes, for example. Or you can play a5, queen d4 is also quite a strong move. The a5 pawn is kind of hanging somehow. And the endgames are miserable. I mean, you put a knight here, you have a b pass pawn, which is huge. So yeah, it's becoming quite sad. So black tried this f5. Probably f6 has to be played. I don't know if he can get away with this really, but I think there was a problem with this because of queen h4, which just plays on your weaknesses. Like it's not that easy to defend h7 without making further concessions like knight g6, bishop takes with all those pawns looking really weak. So yeah, apparently this move is quite annoying. But f5 is not the solution. I mean, queen d4 is coming in any case. This was the idea by Bajirov. He was going to play knight f7, bring both knights to the king side, maybe with knight g6, putting pressure here. I mean, it seems quite reasonable. And there's also the idea of playing knight b6, again, hitting d4, hitting e5. So b5. No knight c6 side, and the other pawn can start advancing to support it. And now g5. What's that about? I'm sorry. G5. What can that be about?
I don't know. Possibly f4 and knight f4.
Yeah, can be it. Even though f4 is a bit like further weakening.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not sure what else what else g5 could be about.
Bajirov's idea was a bit strange, but he's actually trying to put a lot of pressure on e5. Makes sense. I mean, knight g6, and the idea is that there's not going to be f4 for white. So
I see.
at some point, when the queens disappear, E5 is in real trouble. I mean, it's it's not going to be easy to defend. Um, but Karpov just went A4. As if nothing happens. I mean, queen takes queen, then knight takes D4, knight G6, rook FE1, and you can't move this knight because of the knight on D4 hitting E6. So black is still quite tied down. uh, so Bajirov started with knight G6. Um, so quite clever. um, but now Karpov sees that things have really changed. I mean, we were looking for the exchange of queens. It looked quite promising. But he rejected rook fe1, which would be just the natural move. Apparently, he thought that rook e8 was a bit annoying because, yeah, this is coming in any case, and is going to suffer. Probably he doesn't want to take either because of 8 takes, and this pawn also looks a bit strange. So what does he do here? Because there are positional factors that have appeared and weren't there before black played g5.
Honestly, I'm drawing a complete blank. um,
It's a really tough move, and it's a tough concept. I don't know. I think probably I would play rook fe1 here without blinking. And I think white should still be quite better. But I was impressed by Karpov's conception here and how flexible he can be. He was trying to get a very superior endgame, but now he decides keeping queens is a good idea. What changed? I mean, he went.
yeah, he went queen g4 to, and then he goes, no, I changed my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, seems crazy, but things have changed. I mean, black has played basically to exchange queens and put pressure on e5. That's his main idea now. All the play was designed to, after the queens disappear, I can gap on this pawn, and it's going to suffer. It's going to be really hard to defend it. So Karpov thinks, okay, but things are different now. You had to play g5 to try to achieve that. And now your king is sort of weakened. Mine is immaculate. I mean, my castle here is perfect. No one can reach this king, really. Yeah, I mean, white has no direct attack. Like right now, nothing bad is going to happen to this king. But Karpov has a clear plan. He's going to keep pushing his queens and pawns. It's a clear majority with a clear positional advantage by him on the queen side. And not really that much that black can do about that. While his king is going to be a permanent. I mean, even if at this point in the game this king isn't really suffering, it's very hard to face white's push on the queen side while having this king weak too. White has no weaknesses, and black is just accumulating weaknesses. That's the main point. I know it looks far-fetched, and it's very hard very far from being a factor, but yeah, the open king is also something that makes Karpov say, okay, I'm going to keep the queens now. What do you think about that? Does it make sense?
No, it actually, like, initially it looked weird, but it actually makes 100% sense to me, especially a5, yeah, pushing our queen side pawns and still defending e5, avoiding the queen trade. Yeah, it makes sense to me. And this knight is still terrible. It can go into f7, but we can just defend it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing. Keeping the queens makes it easier to defend this pawn somehow now. Um, so yeah, now you can't even go something like this because of rook c6. Yeah, it's really hard to do something about this aspect. That's why he played queen b7, which is really sad. um, so rook fe1, he's just overprotecting the pawn now that this is an idea. Queen g7.
Okay.
Still
Still
tries.
trying, yeah.
So
I was just
no
going to say,
way.
yeah.
And this is just vintage Karpov. No way Black is realizing his idea of putting pressure on this pawn. There's always something preventing him from doing so.
Rook e8?
He didn't play rook e8. And I think it's because you don't really threaten this because of 97.
No, but is it a threat? Like rook e8, 90.
For example.
Yeah. And then.
Yeah, 97 hits the rook and it threatens this.
No, but. Okay. Man, that pawn is amazing on it. There's like this one pawn is like equal to these four. It's that's weird.
Yeah, no, it's crampy Black.
I think he's regretting that f5. I think he's regretting that now. No more pawn break.
Yeah, I mean it's always a hard choice to make because you say, okay, there's no attack or anything after f5, but yeah, you lack counterplay too. So rook f7. Yeah, it's hard to organize the pieces now. Rook e7, I guess, so that 97 is not going to be a thing, but it takes so much time that
it's just really amazing though that this one pawn, kind of just supported by the queen essentially. It's just really crazy that one pawn it's really just stopping everything.
Yeah, it cramps Black completely, and this knight never got to do his thing. Yeah, it's just too uncomfortable. I mean, if Black fails to take this pawn somehow, he's not surviving this. It doesn't look like it should actually work. I mean, Black's pieces are so bad that it's hard to believe that he can turn this around. Now knight a6, always threatening something before Black gets to activate his pieces. Rook a8, bishop f1. How about that? Just getting out of the way in case this falls. But there's
this is total Karpovian style, just preventing any counterplay.
Yeah, the bishop on f1. Yeah, it's great. It's doing the same, but it's at a safe distance.
That's kind of funny, right? He puts all of his pieces on the back rank.
Yeah, and they work marvelously well. Knight f7, knight c7. He always has something. Rook d8, and e5 is falling, but yeah, e6 too. And guess which one is more important? So yeah, knight takes is a disaster. It's a fork. So how about that? This has to be demoralizing. Having to go back to f8. Ouch. b6. A takes b. What do we do now? Do we take? Do we push? Which is
They both look good, but oh, oh man, a kid in a candy store. I'm inclined to push, but taking also seems very good.
Yeah, taking has to be good. But he pushed because the
Yeah,
promotion square is controlled by the knight,
yeah.
so that's too much to handle. Knight h6. But you have to take the knight out of there to threaten the knight on c7, I guess. Knight takes doesn't work because of queen takes and c7 is defended. So knight h6, not looking good. Rook ec1. Still threatening a7. Knight g4. Oh, well, this is kind of straightforward now. a7, knight takes, e5, rook sits. No reason to give up any material. a8 is coming. Knight c4. And finally he promotes well, some spite moves until he resigned here. He's a rook down. Uh, but I was really impressed by this game in the sense that, yeah, Karpov went a long way to put the queen on d4, to go for favorable endgames and stuff like that. And after black plays g5 and he makes his king a bit more, well, a bit weaker, uh, well, he was clearly aiming at this pawn, but queen a1 just comes in time. uh, when he realizes that the situation changed and that this king might be a problem, that e5 is much easier to support while the queen is still on the board. Um, it's just amazing flexibility. I mean, there is sometimes just go for queen exchanges. It's quite common that this happens to, well, to all of us, uh, that we go for queen exchanges in neutral situations and sometimes in not so neutral situations. Sometimes we go for it when it's clearly better to have them on the board. It's something that's hard to calibrate. um, but I think it's important to think about because one of the ways of losing the advantage is just um, um, by bad queen exchange at the wrong moment. It happens a lot.
Yeah, and it's funny that in that game, I mean, I didn't want the queen exchange. I kind of sensed that, you know, I don't want to trade queens, but I guess I just gave up on it too early. The alternatives, I didn't fight for enough in my calculation. I kind of gave up on it right away.
Well, but your heart was in the right
Mm,
place, as you didn't want to
mm,
exchange as your first option, which is good. It's good to know.
mm. But yeah, I gotta fight harder for that idea. I need to trust my instincts more and try to find a way to make it work.
Yeah, yeah, it has to be given some consideration. I mean, you can spend, depends on what time control it is, you can spend some time on those kind of decisions, which are clearly relevant. I mean, in the sense that, yeah, they are critical positions. If you keep the queens there, it, it really changes things in the game.
Yeah, I think in that position, I will like with G6. I don't think I will. I think I will always play A4 in the future. Like I don't think I will forget that.
Yeah,
I
I don't think
actually
so.
right after the game, I'm like, oh my god, why didn't I play A4? Because that's almost always the answer in the Sveshnikov. So
Yeah, it's like the natural follow-up after you kind of secure d5.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, but very interesting game, and it really reminded me
Mm.
of this Karpov idea.
Yeah, going out of his way to trade queens and then going out of his way to not trade queens.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's amazing flexibility. It's
it would have been interesting to see Bagurov's expression when he played Queen A1.
yeah.
It's
I, finally, he he had made use of his because he was very intelligent. That G5 with knight G6, it has to be annoying to face. I mean, I'm certain that it'll give me problems, but yeah, Karpov always found some elegant way to dismiss the opponent's
Yeah,
ideas.
I actually I enjoy Karpov. He's one of my um, more enjoyable players that I like. He's just very clean. His play is just super
Yeah,
clean, and I like that. And looks simple, but it's there's a lot of sophistication behind his
yeah,
moves. But
yeah. It's a complete mystery to me. I mean, how easily he deals with the opponent's counterplay as if it was nothing. I mean, the opponents were very strong grandmasters, and it seemed like
yeah,
they couldn't play. I mean, they were just being prevented from playing. Basically, it's crazy.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's how to cheat.
okay. Well, thank you again, Alessandro. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, I'm going to still plug away at the classical. I'm doing another set of 100 classical games. That's why you see me playing so many. So
Oh.
I played almost 200 classical games back to back. Halfway through, I took a small break and I played one rapid game and maybe 10 blitz games, but then I went back to classical. So
Well, that's a lot.
yeah, and I don't like it. It's not fun. I don't enjoy it, but I'm doing it to try to improve. Like I'll do whatever it takes, you know. Um, and what I might be doing after, just to try it out, after I have about 23 games left in my of classical to play. I think I might be trying something else, which is the puzzle streak on Lichess. I think I might do something where I have to hit my previous best like 3 times or X amount of times before I go back to playing. I'm just setting these little personal challenges to myself to try to just
That's fine.
yeah,
That's a good way of trying to improve. Yeah.
yeah. And then, but always constantly, no matter what, I'm always working on my opening repertoire, and I put so much work into that. Not just because I mean, I know maybe it's not the most effective use of my time, but I also really enjoy it. So I think in that, it's
That's a huge advantage.
yeah,
I mean, I'm not one to say you shouldn't study openings until blah blah blah. No, um, I mean, first thing first, uh, chess is something that you clearly enjoy, and if you enjoy studying openings, yeah, it might not be the most effective, like doing it all the time or whatever, but it's certainly going to help because it does. And if you enjoy it, I bet you get a lot from it. Um, you get a lot of benefit from it if you enjoy it. I mean, I'll much rather have you studying openings than just going through endgames if you're getting bored easily.
mm,
Even though at some point you have to do everything.
yeah,
uh, what's most enjoyable to you, it's probably what makes you well make more progress.
yeah. And it's easier to spend more time on it because it's more enjoyable. And it's not like I neglect openings, right? Like I've read, Jeremy Silman's Endgame Manual, and I've been working through Dvoretsky's Endgame Manual. But yeah, my focus is always openings. It's just I can't help it. I just
Yeah.
can't. It's too fun. Plus, I think it actually helps beyond just openings, like because I study them so deeply. When I am when I'm trying to decide upon a move to add to the repertoire, I have to really go deep and figure out why one move might be just slightly better than the other. And I I don't just run through it with Stockfish. I go through all of the trees and the lines and see what positions they lead to, and I go through uh, database games of and I have a special database which is only it's filtered by players where both sides are 2400 elo or higher, FIDE, and I've weeded out the blitz and the rapid games. So it's only the slow games, 2400 and up. And I look through. First, I will look through the annotated games and get what I get. Try to learn from that, and then I will go through the top rated players or players that I like to emulate. I mean, I really I put a lot of effort into building.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, that investigation qualities are essential to form a good repertoire. And you're also studying the middle games. I mean, if you do that, you're clearly studying the middle games that stem from your openings. Because if you go that deep in and you go through model games, inevitably you're getting acquainted with the types of positions that appears, not only with move orders and key lines. If you go deep like that, you're doing more than just studying openings, which is great.
Yeah. Okay. And I think you play as well. I think you're a D4 player as white, but as black, I think you're a can against E4. I think you're a can player, if I recall. You have a lot.
I've been moving gradually to the Taimanov. Instead of A6, I started playing knight C6. I try to play both because they are quite closely correlated. So I try to add the Taimanov to the repertoire. It's hard because there's always lots of theory on both. But
yeah, so you mean with like a pawn on E6, pawn on A6, and then knight C6 instead of queen C7?
Instead of A6, like knight C6 right away. Instead of playing the can at that point after knight takes D4, A6, I'm starting to play knight C6. And then, at some point I play queen C7, A6, and you can even transpose sometimes.
Yeah, does that not... sorry, I'm just curious.
Knight takes D4.
So E6, right? And then knight C6 here?
Knight C6 right away. Yeah. Started.
Oh, yeah. And then, but after, because, I play knight C3. I don't think you play knight F6. You play something. Yeah, you play queen C7. That's right.
C7. Yeah.
I always hope my opponent will play knight F6 because then we can transpose to Sveshnikov again.
Yeah, and there's also knight takes followed by E5, which is a mess, and I don't like that for black. I mean, the Sveshnikov, I can live with it, but I really dislike this knight takes and E5, so I just play queen C7 and go for the Taimanov. I tried to add this one to my rep of the can, not instead of, but as an option.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I know. I'm a little bit worried in some way. I mean, it's not a problem right now at my level, but since I don't have any other openings, I've got one. I only play the same thing. I am incredibly easy to prepare for. If someone wants to prepare for me in a tournament, I am super easy to prepare against.
True. I have the same problem. My repertoire is really narrow. It's hard to add openings. I mean, it's so much work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's enough work to get acquainted with the ones you play already. I mean, branching out is it's really hard.
Yeah. But I mean, if it works for MVL, right? Who's to say it doesn't work for us, right? So.
Yeah, it definitely won't work for. I mean, with the time he spends and how much he knows about chess, he can add whatever he wants.
Yeah. Okay, well, I will let you go. Thank you again for the lesson, and I look forward to the next one.
Okay, see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Tyler.